everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Romina, and if you're here, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hang around with me and like this video and all the YouTube stuff. I'm so excited for today's video. Today, we're talking about my most anticipated releases of the rest of the year. So the last 3 months, and I have a list of what I'm most excited about. I'm going to tell you about the books and do the summaries so that you can be as excited as I am about these books. And these books, I'm going to put the cover on the screen and tell you their release date. I try to double check everything, so if there's anything wrong, excuse me. But from what I know, these are accurate, and just let's get into it and not waste time. Let's start with October 7th, which is our first publishing month that we have ahead. The first book I want to read is Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. The cover is nothing like other Stephanie Garber books. I read all of them. I think I've read all of her books. Some I've loved, some I haven't, but this cover is very different. Okay, let's see what it's about. It starts with a class in an old movie theater. Folklore 517. Local legend and urban myths taught by a woman called the Professor. Most students believe the Professor's stories are just fiction, but Holland St. James has always been convinced that magic is real. When she tracks down a local legend named the Watchman, who can supposedly tell you when you'll die, the world finally makes sense, except that the Watchman tells her she will die at midnight tomorrow, unless she finds an ancient object called the alchemical heart. With the clock ticking, Holland is pulled deeper into the magic world in the heart of Los Angeles and into the path of a magnetic stranger. Everything about him feels like a bad idea, but he promises Holland that her sister sent him to protect her. As they chase clues and stories that take them closer to alchemical heart, Holland realizes everyone in this intoxicating new world is lying to her, even a stranger. And if she can't figure out whom to trust, not even the alchemical heart will save her. Okay, that's not a typical Stephanie Garber book. I was surprised. This was my first time reading this summary, and that's not what I was expecting, but change is good. I'm hoping that this actually makes me fall in love with Stephanie Garber, because until now, most of her books have been mid for me. Next October 7 book, The Ordeals by Rachel Greenlaw. In this lush, atmospheric romantasy, an illusionist competes in a series of deadly trials for a spot at an elite magical college. That is, if another hopeful doesn't kill her first. 20-year-old Sophia de Winter has only known life bound to her cruel uncle, the Collector, thanks to a blood bond he exacted from her as a child. When she learns of Kilmarth College, an elite academy for magical wielders outside of the Collector's control, she knows it is her only chance to finally break free, but to gain entry, she will have to compete against other illusionists, masqueraders, botanists, and alchemists in a series of brutal trials that many hopefuls don't survive, the ordeals. Sophia knows her skills as an illusionist are weak. She only makes it through the first challenge by teaming up with a powerful and insufferably sexy botanist, Alden Locke. To make it out alive, she will have to hone her magic and learn to identify who is a rival, who could be an ally, and who is a murderer. Because now, not only does she have to protect her heart, but her very life. Hopefuls are being viciously picked off one by one between the challenges. In her haste to escape the Collector's trap, Sophia may have fled straight toward her own death sentence. Okay, here's the thing. When I saw this cover and read the first line, I thought it was a dark academia, not trials. So I'm not really a trials girl, but this sounds fun, kinda. Sometimes I like trials, but sometimes I don't. So let's hope that this one works. On October 7th. Yes, baby. My kitty wants to play with me. Right? You were sleeping. When did you wake up? Come on. Mate by Ali Hazelwood. So I'm not going to read the premise of this one because I have yet to read Bride. But now that the second book is out, maybe it's time for me to first read Bride and then get into Mate. Because, it's Ali Hazelwood. I've read one or two Ali Hazelwoods this year, and I think that her writing style can match what I like. And, I just wanted to put it on this list so that makes me want to read Bride and, Mate more. Next one is Twice by Mitch Albom. The cover is not really that intriguing. I don't know why. I don't really enjoy the cover. Premise says, when he's 8 years old, Alfie Logan discovers the magical ability to get a second chance at everything. He can undo any moment and live it again. Day one, he must accept the consequences of his second try. Day one? I think the sentences got mixed up here because what do you mean day one? Anyway. For better or for worse, he grows up correcting his mistakes and saving himself from adolescent embarrassments. He even takes foolishly dangerous risks just to see what it's like to come close to death before tapping back to safety. Eventually, Alfie turns his gift to his love life, studying his crushes and going back to make himself more appealing. In time, he falls deeply in love with Gianna, the woman he believes is the one. He seems to find contentment. But as the years pass, Alfie's eyes begin to wander, which is when he learns a lone caveat to his. Once he undoes a love, that person can never fall in love with him again. Knowing if he gives into a temptation, he will risk losing what he has with Gianna, Alfie makes a choice that changes his life forever. The book begins many years later, after an ailing Alfie is arrested for allegedly cheating and winning millions at a casino roulette wheel. As a curious detective interrogates him, he slowly uncovers Alfie's incredible story and its most unlikely conclusion. Okay, that sounds fun. Again, the cover is not it. The cover is not that interesting, but the premise is really good. So I'm hoping that the book is good despite its cover. Let's move on to the next date. We have October 14. The first book I want to read that is published on this one is All That We See or Seem by Ken Liu. Julia Z, a young woman who gained notoriety at 14 as the orphan hacker, is trying to live a life of digital obscurity in Boston suburb. But when a lawyer named Pierce, whose famous artist's wife Ellie has been kidnapped by dangerous criminals, barges into her life, Julia decides to put the solitary life she has painstakingly created at risk, as she can't walk away from helping Pierce and Ellie, nor step away from the challenge of the digital puzzle. Ellie is an Oneirophix. Oneirophix? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that word? Oneirophix. Let's see. Ellie is an Oneirophix. I don't know what that is. A dream artist who can weave the dreams of an audience together through a shared virtual landscape. I think that's what it means. live in a concert-like experience by tapping into each attendee's walking dream and providing an emotionally resonant and narrating experience. Interesting. While attendees' dreams are anonymous, Julia discovers that Ellie was also providing a one-on-one dream experience for the head of an international criminal enterprise, and demanding his dreams in return for Ellie. Unraveling the real and unreal leads Julia on an adventure that takes her across the country and deep into the shadows of her psyche. That sounds interesting. That sounds very smart, and the author sounds extremely intelligent, and I cannot wait to see where this story goes, because I love books that challenge me intellectually, that challenge me and excite me to understand what's going on. The next book I have on October 14th is the last book I have on it. Apparently I didn't really like the books being published on that date. So it's Red City by Mary Lou. This is a new series by Mary Lou. Let's see what it's about. Okay. Alchemy is the hidden art of transformation, an exclusive power wielded by crime syndicates that market it to the world's elite in the form of sand, a drug that enhances those who take it into a more perfect version of themselves, more beautiful, more charismatic, simply more. Among the gleaming skyscraper and rolling foothills of Angel City, alchemy is controlled by two rival syndicates. For years, Grand Central and Luminous have been balanced on a razor edge between polite negotiation and outright violence. But when two childhood friends step into the delight equation, the city and the path of their lives will be irrevocably transformed. The daughter of a poor single mother, Sam, would do anything to claw her way into the ranks of Grand Central in search of a better life. Plucked away from his family as a boy to become a luminous apprentice, Ari is one of the syndicate's brightest rising stars. Once they might have loved each other, but as the two alchemists face off across opposite sides of an ever-escalating conflict, ambition becomes power, loyalty becomes lies, and no transformation may be perfect enough for them both to survive the coming war. That's a great premise, okay? I added this book knowing a little bit of the summary and not reading the whole premise. That's a great premise that makes you want to read the book. I want to read the book right now, and I have to wait a month. Not a month, 3 weeks, but I cannot wait to read it. That sounds amazing. Let's move to the next stage. I have only one book I want to read being published on October 21st, and it is Girl Dinner by Olivia Blake. I know nothing about this book other than the writer is Olivia Blake. I've only read one Olivia Blake book, but I want to read all of her backlog. I'm waiting for a time to dive deep into Olivia Blake, but I'm excited to read Girl Dinner first. Let's see what it's about. Let's see. Good girls deserve a treat. Weird way to start that. I just remembered Abby in Ginny and Georgia in that scene. Oh, if I do this, I will get a treat. Great scene. That was a great scene. Every member of the house, the most exclusive sorority on campus, and all its alumni are beautiful, high-achieving, and universally respected. After freshman year, she would rather forget. Sophomore Nina Kerr knows being one of the chosen few accepted into the house is the first step in her path to the brightest possible future. Once she's taken into their fold, the house will surely ease her fears of failure and protect her from those who see a young woman on her own as easy prey. Meanwhile, adjunct Professor Dr. Sloane Hartley is struggling to return to work after accepting a demotion to support her partner's new position at the at the Cutthroat University. After 18 months at home with her newborn daughter, Sloane's clothes don't fit right, her girl dad husband isn't as present as he thinks he is, and even the few hours a day she's apart from her child fill her psyche with paralyzing ennui. When invited to be the house academic liaison, Sloane enviously drinks in the way the alumni seems to have it all, achieving a level of collective perfection that Sloane so desperately craves. As Nina and Sloane each get drawn deeper into the arcane rituals of the sisterhood, they learn that living well comes with bodily costs. And when they are finally invited to the table, they will have to decide just how much they can stomach in the name of solidarity and power. Libby Blake, I'm trusting you to write this and write this good. Please write it good. I can wait to see what she does with this premise. October 28th is a very good publishing day, starting with The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. Okay, here's the thing. I'm a huge Alex E. Harrow fan while reading one of her books. The 36-page book, The 6 Days of the Saint, it was so amazing that it turned me into an Alex E. Harrow fan immediately. I just haven't had the time to read all of her books, but I'm going to read her most recent one especially because Reads with Rachel said that this is the book form of Infinite Baths by Sleep Token, and Sleep Token is one of my favorite bands. Okay, I can die for Sleep Token. It makes me crazy. And she sold it. She sold it to me just by saying that. And it was perfect. So I'm going to read it because of, first of all, because Alex E. Harrow is amazing. Second of all, because of Sleep Token. And third of all, because of Rachel. Because I love Rachel and I love watching her talk about books. Okay, let's see what it is about. It begins where it ends, beneath the yew tree, a girl not yet a knight and a boy without a story. I'm already so excited. I'm going to love this book. It is where she pulls a sword from the hardwood and becomes a legend. Alex E. Harrow's writing can kill you. It can kill you easily on the spot. And it is where more than 1,000 years later he will find her and lose her and find her and lose her again. Even the premise is a masterpiece. Can you imagine what the book's going to be? Is it where a new story will be written? But whose will it be? Okay. See, you can write a very short premise and kill me with it, okay? She didn't need 36 pages of a book. She needs 4 lines. She's extremely talented. Oh my god, I'm going to adore this book. This is going to be my favorite book of the year. I'm telling you now, I'm sure. I'm 99.8% sure that this is going to be my favorite book of 2025. Watch me prove it to you. I swear this is going to be it. Next, on the same day, we have Hazelthorn by C.G. Drews. Again, one of the books I've been waiting for since January. I've been waiting to read this book since then. This one I'm so excited for because Carrie can read this one. I loved it from what I remember. So this book, she sold it to me. 2 of my favorite booktubers recommended 2 books that are going to come out on the same day. And I couldn't be more excited for October 28th, okay? Evander has lived like a ghost in the forgotten corners of the Hazelthorn estate ever since he was taken in by his reclusive billionaire guardian, Byron Lennox Hall, when he was a child. For his safety, Evander has been given 3 ironclad rules to follow. He can never leave the state, he can never go into the gardens, and most importantly, he can never again be left alone with Byron's charming, underachieving grandson, Laurie. The last rule has been in place ever since Laurie tried to kill Evander 7 years ago, and yet somehow Evander is still obsessed with him. Gay teenagers? Good God. When Byron suddenly dies, Evander inherits Hazel Thorne's immense Gothic mansion and acres of sprawling grounds, along with the entirety of the Lennox Hall family's vast wealth. But Evander's sure his guardian was murdered, and Laurie may be the only one who can help him find the killer before they come for Evander next. Perhaps even more concerning is how the overgrown garden is refusing to stay behind its walls, slipping its wine and spores deeper into the house with each passing day. As the family's dark secrets unravel alongside the growing horror of their terribly alive, bloodthirsty garden, this is going to be amazing. Evander needs to find out what he's really inheriting before the garden demands to be fed once more. Count me in. I'm there. The moment it's out, I am there. I don't have words. This sounds amazing. Okay, this sounds an amazing autumnal book. And last, but I'm sure not least, on October 28th list is 640 to Montreal by Eva Jurczyk. I hope that I'm not pronouncing that wrong. If I am, I'm really sorry. The description says, no Wi-Fi, no distractions, no way out. Agatha needs to get some serious work done on her new book. To help her husband brought her quiet time to concentration. A train ticket for a 6-hour ride from Toronto to Montreal. The time aboard sets the stage for a perfect writing retreat. With only a handful of other passengers, plenty of accent drinks, and beautiful views. But Agatha has other plans for her day out. Plans that are unexpectedly derailed when the train breaks down in the middle of the frigid Canadian woods, and one of Agatha's fellow passengers dies quietly in his seat. Soon, a pleasant morning in transit turns into a fight for survival against an unknown and unseen enemy. Will Agatha or any of the passengers make it out alive? I'm hoping this is so good that it makes up for the disappointment that With a Vengeance was, because that one was also on a train. It also stopped and stuff. That one was really disappointing, boring, and, underwhelming. So I'm really hoping that this one is so good and I forget that one existed. Let's cross our fingers and move on to our next date. Now we are going to move from October to November. The first date we have is November 4th. First book we have is We Fell Apart by E. Lockhart. Okay, story time. I read We Were Liars way back. I was like a child almost. And the plot twist got me. I was shocked, I was crying. It was an experience. I reread the book 2 years ago, I want to say, and it was not good while rereading, okay? I knew the plot twist and suddenly everything else just fell apart in my brain. So that was that. And I have yet to see the TV show. I've heard that it was a good one and I've seen edits of it that make it look like really good, so I have to do that. And then I read Family of Liars, the sequel. I have it here. Yeah. Okay, I cannot tell you that this book was really great. A very unique thriller or anything, but the vibes of the island and lemons and the old-timey vibes were so good that I'm not joking. I've been wanting a book to make me feel like that ever since, and I haven't gotten that. And when I heard that there's going to be another book in this series, I was like, maybe it can give me those vibes. So I'm only reading it for the vibes and not for the storytelling per se, because the storytelling can really improve, and it's not great, but the vibes are great. They're great. So let's see what the third book is about. The invitation arrives out of the blue. In it, Matilda discovers a father she's never met. Kingsley Cello is a visionary, a reclusive artist, and when he asks her to spend the summer at his seasonal home, Hidden Beach, Matilda expects to find a part of herself she's never fully understood. Instead, she finds her long-lost, open-hearted brother, Brock, former child star battling demons and brooding Wyatt Tatum, who just wants her to leave their crumbling sanctuary. With Kingsley nowhere to be seen, Matilda must delve into the twisted heart of Hidden Beach to uncover the answers she's desperately craving. But secrets run thicker than blood, and blood runs like seawater. And everyone here is lying. Okay, it could be because I don't remember anything of the previous books, but none of these names sound familiar. I don't know who this book is really about. I'm sure other people know, but I don't. If you know, tell me, because I don't remember any of these people. Are they related to those people? Are they completely new? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I don't remember it. So next, on November 4th, is The Bridesmaid by Kate Quinn. Never heard of this author, never read a book by them, but I read the summary of this book and it is good. Let's see what the description says. When a celebrity bridesmaid is murdered weeks before an exclusive society wedding, forensic attorney Holly Stone is drafted as an unlikely undercover replacement. As she works to unpick the lives of the notoriously private Kensington family, glamour-averse Holly discovers a new worst enemy in Bridezilla Adriana. Heir to a multi-million-dollar fortune, Adriana is set on throwing the event of the decade. My cat is playing with my microphone. And she won't let anything get in her way. But beneath the veneer of poise and sophistication, Adriana and her bridesmaid have secrets worth killing for. As the wedding day gets closer, it's clear that one of the 5 handpicked bridesmaids has committed murder, and the destination wedding is a perfect place to strike again. Soon, Holly finds herself on the playground of the rich and famous, but if she wants to find answers, she'll have to make it up alive. Rich people's dramas are always great. At least reading about it is, because living with it I'm sure is not really amazing, but reading about rich people going through their dramas is always interesting, so I'm waiting for that to come out. Next, on the same day, we have Like Family by Erin O. White. This one I decided to read because of the cover. I know it's a very simple landscape cover, but it has such a beautiful orange yellow leaves, and it has a very calm and simple cover, so I think it's going to be a beautiful story. I'm not sure. Let's see what the description says, okay? It was too much to ask, but sometimes too much is what we ask of the people we love most. Radcliffe, New York is an idyllic upstate town, nestled in the hills and complete with artisanal bakeries, pottery studios, and hidden swimming holes. Ruth and her wife, Win, are living the dream, or Win's dream at least, with their 4 children on their small farm, which is also the bucolic gathering place for their circle of friends. It's a sweet life, but there's a secret at its center, one that not even Ruth's best friend, Caroline, knows. What Caroline does know is that she loves and depends on Ruth, and on the bond between their families. More than anything, she wants her tender-hearted son not to grow up lonely the way she did. Unfortunately, no one can assure her of that, especially not her husband. He just wants the things to be easy, drama-free, which is impossible, as he has donated his sperm to his cousin Toby. Okay, where is this going? And her wife, so that they could have kids of their own. Now those children are asking unanswerable questions. After an unexpected death in their community, all three couples are forced to confront the tension that have long been buried beneath the surface of their lives. Richly textured and big-hearted, Okay, that was not what I was expecting at all. You know, this cover doesn't give all of the family dramas. I mean, like family, it's called like family, but I wasn't expecting that type of family. Anyways, we'll see how it will go up. Last, on November 4th, we have The House Sapphire by Marissa Mayer. I've never read any of her books. I've always wanted to read Heartless. I always put it on my TBR and then take it off. I could say the timing is never right, but she has a new book. Maybe I can start testing her writing by this one, okay? Again, this comes out on November 4th, and it says, this is a long description. Mallory Fontaine is a fraud. Though she comes from a long line of witches, the only magic she possesses is the ability to see ghosts, which is rarely as useful as one would think. She and her sister have maintained the family business, eking out a paltry living by selling bogus spells to gullible buyers and conducting tours of the infamous mansion where the first of the Sapphire murder took place. Mallory is a self-proclaimed expert on Count Bastien Sapphire, otherwise known as Monsieur Le Bleu. I know nothing French, okay? My French is on 0, so excuse that. Who brutally killed 3 of his wives more than a century ago. But she never expected to meet Bastien's great-great-grandson and heir to the Sapphire estate. Armand is handsome, wealthy, and convinced that the Fontaine sisters are as talented as they claim. The perfect mark. When he offers Mallory a large sum of money to rid his ancestral home of Le Blue's ghost, she can't resist. Paid vacation at Armand's country manor, it's practically a dream come true. Never mind the ghosts of murdered wives and the monsters that are common as household pests. But when murder again comes to the House Sapphire, Mallory finds herself at the center of the investigation, and she's almost certain the killer is mortal. If she has any hope of cashing in on the payment she was promised, she'll have to solve the murder and banish the ghost, all while upholding the illusion of witchcraft. But that all sounds relatively easy compared to her biggest learning to trust her heart, especially when the person her heart wants the most might be a murderer himself. So I usually don't read witch stories. Don't be offended, don't be mad. I get it if you like them. I'm not a very witch person. But this sounds amazing, but this sounds good. And you know, adding a murder mystery always makes a book better. So that's interesting, and we'll see how I like Marissa Mayer's writing. Moving on to the next publishing date is November 11th. And the first book we have on November 11th is Next Time Will Be Our Turn by Jessie Q. Sutanto. Again, I picked this book because of its cover. The cover looks like very teenage girlfriends who have a secret crush on each other. That's what the cover gives, at least. Let's see what it is actually about. Izzy Chen is dreading her family's annual Chinese New Year celebration, where they all come together at a Michelin-starred restaurant to flaunt their status and success in hopes to one-up each other. So when her 73-year-old glamorous and formidable grandmother walks in with a stunning woman on her arm and kisses her in front of everyone, see? Lesbians. I can see sapphic vibes from a cover. That's one of the perks of being queer. It shakes Izzy to her core. She'd always considered herself the black sheep of the family for harboring similar feelings to the ones her nene just displayed. That's my superpower. Recognizing sapphic book covers. Seeing herself in her teenage granddaughter's struggle with identity and acceptance, Magnolia Chen tells Izzy her own story, of how as a teen she was sent by her Indo-Chinese parents from Jakarta to Los Angeles for education and fell in love with someone completely forbidden to her by both culture and gender norms. Ellery, an American college student who became Magnolia's best friend and the love of her life. Stretching across decades and continents, Magnolia's star-crossed love story reveals how life can take unexpected turns but ultimately lead you to exactly who you're meant to be. I'm going to love this book again. As a queer woman living with a society that doesn't accept her identity and what's going on? And sexuality. Sorry, my kitten is always distracting me. Next, on the same day, we have Your Knife, My Heart. This one, again, I picked up because of its cover. Apparently, I'm somebody who judges books by their covers. The cover is very great, looks very interesting. Let's see what it's about, right? Dark, deadly, irresistible. Cameron Mortham has a problem. He can't stop killing his partners. Damn, what a start. Officially labeled clinically insane, he's also one of the most lethal assets in the Dark Forces, a brutal underground military operation built on obedience, survival, and silence. But an experimental drug has fractured his control, making him a liability whenever someone else is on the field. As punishment, he's thrown back into the Under Trials, a merciless boot camp designed to break the weak and sharpen the ruthless. His one directive: don't kill the new girl. Emery Maves narrowly escapes a death sentence after her own brutal crimes, only to find herself forced into the same violent world. Assigned to Cameron, she is expected to survive the trials and her partner's unstable nature. But Emery quickly realizes there's more to Cameron than bloodlust and body counts. Beneath the madness lies a terrifying allure and a strange, dangerous tenderness. Long description. As the trials push them to their limits, Emery must navigate the brutal demands of the Dark Force, while resisting the pull of a man who could just as easily kill her as protect her, and Cameron must fight the one urge he'd never been able to overcome. Their bond is intoxicating, chaotic, and born of violence, and if it doesn't destroy them both, it might just save them. That's a good description. A little bit too long, but it was good. And it can be very amazing. It's not unique, but it's unique enough that I want to try it and test it and, read it. So we're going to move on to the next publishing date, November 18. The first we have is Brimstone by Callie Hart. I just wanted to mention this one because I know a lot of people were waiting for the second book in the Quicksilver, whatever it is. Is this going to be a trilogy? I don't know. The Quicksilver series. It's called Fan Alchemy. The series is called Fan Alchemy. And I just wanted to mention that for you guys. I haven't read Quicksilver yet, but I think I'm going to. I'm going to read this first book so that I can read the second one, which is, again, Brimstone. The cover looks kind of great, so I wanted to mention it here for you. I'm not going to read the description because it's probably going to spoil the first book. I'm probably going to read both of them and report back to you in one of my wrap-ups or reading vlogs or whatever. So have that in mind. The next one on the same day is I, Medusa by Ayana Gray. The cover, just look at the cover. It's beautiful. And I'm a sucker for Greek mythology, so this book is right up my alley. Medi has spent her whole life as a footnote in someone else's story. Out of place next to her beautiful immortal sister and her parents, both gods, albeit minor ones, she dreams of leaving her family's island for a life of adventure. So when she catches the eye of the goddess Athena, who invites her to train as an esteemed priestess in her temple, Medi leaps at the chance to see the world behind her home. In Athens' colorful market streets and the clandestine chambers of the temple, Medea flourished in her role as Athena's favorite acolyte, getting her first taste of purpose and power. But when she is noticed by another Olympian, Poseidon, a drunken night between girl and god ends in violence, and the course of Medea's promising future is suddenly and irrevocably altered. Her locks transformed into snakes as punishment for a crime she did not commit. Medusa must embrace a new identity, not as a victim, but as a vigilant, and with it, the chance to write her own story as mortal, martyr, and myth. Okay, that sounds amazing. Again, I love Greek mythology. I usually like to read stories about less known gods or goddesses or, demigods, but it's fine. Medusa is a very exciting goddess to read from, and I can't wait to see how this author writes from her perspective. Next, we have Daddy Issues by Kate Goldbeck. This one, I cannot say I'm reading it because of the cover, because I can't really decide if I like the cover or not. But it intrigued me enough to want to pick it up, so let's see what it's about. Again, another long description. Okay. At 26, Sam Pulaski expected to be thriving in her academic career, living on her own in some exciting city. Expectations meet reality. She has massive student loans from studying art history, a dead-end service industry job, a situationship that's equal parts intoxicating and toxic. Oh girl, I've been there. I've been in a relationship like that. We all have. And she's been crashing in her mom's condo. At least it's not a basement. For the last 5 years, if she can finally get accepted into a PhD program and get out of Ohio, the adult life that's been on hold for half her 20s will finally begin. Her mom's new neighbor, Nick, is the ultimate grown-up. His adult life began the moment his 9-year-old daughter, Kiara, was born. Her happiness is Nicky's only priority, especially in the wake of divorce. There's nothing he won't do for Kiara, including giving up his globetrotting career for something more stable, like managing a chain restaurant. Sam has zero interest in an ultra-dependable guy pushing 40. Frankly, she's a little bit afraid of kids. But with just one thin wall separating the two condos, Nick proves difficult to avoid. His quiet confidence forces Sam to grapple with the other men in her. The writing in Goodreads is not very good. In her emotionally derelict friend with benefits and her actually derelict father. As her unexpected connection with Nick heats up and sims up his medieval windows, Sam finds herself falling fast for a man whose life is steady and settled, while hers is anything but. Now I'm having doubts. It sounds boring. Maybe I shouldn't read this one. Okay, now you have it and you can make your own decision. I think I'm going to pass on this one. I thought it would be amazing, but the description sounds boring. So November 25th, I have only one book that's coming out on that day. It's called Hemlock Lane by Marshall Fine. In the summer of 1967, the Levitsky family convenes for a long weekend at their home in the suburbs, an idyllic holiday for the perfect family. But Nora has always known better. Growing up, she learned to tiptoe around her mother, Lillian's explosive temper. Her father did the same. Nora's sole confidant was their housekeeper, Clara, and their bond has only strengthened through the years. In fact, it's all that's keeping Nora together for her homecoming. But under the lifetime of pressure, the facade is beginning to splinter. Over the next 4 days, everyone's secrets are at risk. None more so than what Nora really wants for her life, how Clara has helped her get it, and how they've orchestrated it all behind Lillian's back. As the family grapples with the complex ties and ties that bind them, Nora discovers that facing the truth, however painful, might be the key to finally breaking free. This weekend, Nora's bravest act may be in knowing which bonds to cherish and which ones need to be gently set aside, making room for a future of her own choosing. I said rich dramas are fun. Family dramas are also fun. Messy families with secrets and those secrets coming out. Always a good book. Always a good time. Always a good book. Not in the real life. God forbid. In the real life, it's a pain. But in books, it's fine. With that, we end November and enter December, the last month of the year. I don't have many books coming out on December. I have only 6, so let's quickly get through them so that I don't bore you, okay? The first publishing date we have on December is December 2nd, and the first book coming out on December 2nd is Fallen Gods by Rachel Van Dyken. I really like the cover. It's not very complex, it's kind of simple, but it's interesting and dark, and it makes you want to know what the book is about. Let me tell you what it's about, okay? The legends of the past are never truly dead and buried. Liv Olsen has been drawn to Norse mythology her entire life. After earning her degree and working as a curator at one of New York's most prestigious museums, she gets an unexpected offer for her dream job in Norway, the same place her brother disappeared a month ago, after a cryptic message about finding their long-lost father. She finds herself surrounded by prestigious townspeople who refuse to even look at the water. Liv soon realizes that the small town of Von, maybe it's Von, but since I speak German, I'm going to read it Von, is nothing like it seems. Shops close before dark, and things she's only read about seem to suddenly exist. To top it off, her new boss, Tristan, is insultingly mean and engagingly beautiful. And as a part of the job, she must live with him in his mansion. Jeez. As her life quickly unravels into chaos, she's left wondering who's pulling the strings in this mysterious place where nothing makes sense, yet everything feels familiar. Her studies have told her the gods are who you trust, but what happens when the man who's destined to kill you is your savior? See, I told you this cover was giving a very interesting premise that didn't need to have a very over-the-top cover. Next, we have Watch Us Fall by Christine Kovac. Lucy and her 3 best friends share a glamorous but decaying house in the heart of Georgetown. They call themselves the Sweeties and live in an idyllic post-grad lifestyle complete with existing jobs, dramatic love lives, and most importantly, each other. So this paragraph gives Bunny by Mona Awad. They call each other Bunny, and these girls call each other the Sweeties. But when Addie, the group's queen bee, discovers that her ex-boyfriend Josh has gone missing, the Sweeties' worlds are turned upside down. In the days leading up to his disappearance, Josh, a star investigative journalist from a prominent political family, was behaving erratically, and Lucy is determined to find out why. All 4 friends append their lives to search for him, but detectives begin to suspect that the Sweeties might know more than they're letting on. Damn. As the investigation unfolds, Lucy's obsession with the case reaches a boiling point, and with it, her own troubling secrets begin bubbling to the surface of her carefully curated life. I love toxic female friendships, okay? I love it when they have toxic bonds that they can't get away from each other, but they hurt each other, and they have secrets that they keep from each other or share with each other. This is going to be good, especially in winter. This is going to be great. Next, we have Friends and Liars by Kit Freak. It's been 5 years since Heiress Claire Monroe tragically died on New Year's Eve at her family's opulent Italian palazzo. Since then, her college friends have harbored dark secrets. Their lies and betrayals led to Claire's untimely death. What happened that fateful night was a horrible accident, but Luca, Harper, Serena, and David are guilty, nonetheless. And their desperate decision to conceal the truth destroyed their once close bond. Now, the estranged friends are each the recipients of an invitation from the Monroes to return to the lakeside palazzo for a long overdue memorial for Claire. Accepting the Monroes' invitation means playing with fire, but they can hardly refuse. Luca, Harper, Serena, and David have barely settled into their idyllic accommodation on Lake Como before someone at the memorial party begins targeting them. Haunted by little gifts left in their rooms, taunting notes, and the unshakable sense of being watched, it soon becomes clear that someone on the guest list knows the whole truth about the night Claire died, and the secrets her friends have been keeping. Nothing is as it seems at the palazzo on the lake, and under their tormentors' vengeful gaze, their secrets and their lives are in danger. Apparently, December is the month of mysteries. Month of family, friends, mysteries, lies, toxic groups. I'm going to love that. I'm going to have a great December this year. Last, but definitely not least, on December 2nd, we have Gugush, a sinful voice. Here's the thing, you might not know Gugush, okay? Gugush is an iconic Iranian singer who used to play music and sing live when Shah was ruling Iran. When my grandmother was my age, her icon was Gugush, and she still has clipping and magazines and newspaper pages talking about Gugush. Women try to dress their hairs like her. She's just an icon, okay? And me being raised in Iran, even after the Islamic Revolution, because of the fact that my parents listened to Gugush and other singers secretly, if almost everybody my age can sing her songs to you from memory. We all have her songs embroidered in our brains, even though when we were born, she didn't even live in Iran anymore, okay? I can recite all of her songs just out of memory for you. And when I realized that she's publishing a memoir this year, oh my god, December cannot come soon enough. I cannot wait to read her story of what it was like to be loved by women and men, be admired by them in Iran, have such an iconic voice and looks and style. She was a singer, she was a song maker, her songs are still amazing, okay? They can still amaze you. If you haven't heard of her, please go search and listen to her, even if on TikTok. And she was also an actress. She was beautiful, iconic. Her styles were iconic and copied by every Iranian girl. Her hairstyle is very well known and she's just iconic, okay? She's the most iconic woman in Iran. So I cannot wait to read her memoir. I don't know what the description would say. I never read it because I know who she is, okay? I've grown up with her and by knowing her, but I'm going to read it because you don't, maybe, okay? My story is not only my story, it's about our past, my country, how it was, what it became, what happened to the people, to artists. What would happen to a country's biggest pop star if religious extremists took control? In the wake of Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution, singer Gugush found out. She was ordered by her government to never sing again, and for 20 years she didn't, until she did. Now, in this lyrical and moving memoir, pop superstar Gugush unveils her unforgettable journey from her difficult upbringing in Iran's tumultuous 1950s and 60s to her stardom in the 70s. She reveals what it was like to reach the peak of her career just as the 1979 Islamic Revolution swept the country. Seemingly overnight, she went from being on magazine covers, at film premieres and fashion shows, and constantly on the radio to targeted by religious clerics. What followed is a harrowing tale of oppression, intimidation, and exile. After more than 20 years forbidden to sing or speak out, she found her voice at the turn of the millennium once again on the international stage. Now inspired by the brave women of Iran on the front lines, hi Googoosh, fighting for their freedoms, Googoosh finally tells her full story, and with it, the story of a country once again on the brink. Again, I have nothing else to say but the fact that she's the most iconic woman in Iran. Everybody knows her, okay? You cannot go on the streets of Iran and say, hey, who doesn't know Googoosh? And see somebody raise their hands. Everybody knows who Googoosh is, okay? We are almost 90 million people in Iran. Every single one of these people know who Googoosh is. Even if they have never heard any of their songs because they're on the side of the Islamic Revolution and hate her, they still know who she is. And that's an iconic person. And last, on December 30th, I know we jumped a lot, we have We Who Will Die by Stasia Stark. Maybe I'm saying the name wrong. If I am, I'm sorry. Again, a very simple cover that makes me hopeful that the book itself is good. Ooh, that's a long description. Life in the Prelias Storm district is a constant battle for Arvel and her younger brothers. And the vampire, oh, we have vampires. And the vampire standing on her doorstep is about to turn their world upside down. Faced with an unthinkable choice, Arvel makes a magically binding vow to do the impossible, kill the Emperor, an ancient vampire created by the god Umbros. But first, she must enter the Sundering, an arena where only the fastest, strongest, and deadliest survive long enough to be selected for the Emperor's elite guard. She quickly draws the ire of the Primus, the powerful figure charged with protecting the Emperor, but the vampire under the armor is the last person Arvel expects to encounter in the Emperor's court. With her brother's lives in the balance, Arvel has no choice but to ally with the man who once shattered her heart, Juicy, and with the Emperor's sadistic son, Rorik, two vampires whose motives are impossible to pin down. Rorik holds the key to understanding the powers Arvel is developing, abilities that would put a price on her head if discovered by the Emperor. To survive the arena and complete her mission, Arvel must get to the bottom of a conspiracy that will change everything she thought she knew about herself and the two vampires who are deeply entwined with her destiny. So that's all the books that I want to read in the next 3 months. Hopefully I'm going to be able to share them with you, and hopefully you stick around. Please subscribe to my channel, like, and comment down below. If you have any anticipated books that I did not mention, put them down in the comments. I would love to know what you are most excited to read. If you'd like me to read any of these books in a vlog, let me know that too. And that's it. I love you. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate you so much. See you in the next video. Goodbye.